Hi everyone, welcome back to another drawing workshop. So last week we kind of completed putting a figure together, making it move, all that sort of thing. And where I left you was with hands being a little blob. So you'll notice in all these pictures they're basically a little circle. So today we're going to try to draw some hands. And I think I mentioned last week this will be an adventure for all of us because I'm not great at hands, but I do know, like, technically how to draw them. So that is what we'll be doing today. All right, I'm just going to dive right in. So I think the first thing that is important to do when drawing a hand is to get the palm shape down. Really simply, a palm is a square, but that is kind of oversimplifying it, I've found. So when you do this is probably going to look a little bit more cartoonish, and it's going to take more tinkering to make it actually look like a fluid hand. So I think I have kind of tended towards this shape here. So like a little pentagon. Kind of an uneven pentagon though, so I'm gonna make sure that the top point is a little off center, right about there. Okay, so this is more a natural way to build a hand, right? So here, this is kind of going to be right between the first two fingers there. So I'm just going to kind of start drawing some rectangular shapes there. So when you build a hand like this, the fingers, gradually shift in size and position kind of naturally. On a square, you have to do a lot of adjusting. So that's kind of why I like the little pentagon. And then the thumb comes off the side there. So kind of from that other little point. Wow, that's a really bad thumb. Okay. And then you have like the mound of the thumb there. And I think the main two other lines on the palm of the hand are going to be this one here and then this one here. So this one's sort of following the line of the fingers, this one sort of indicating the muscles that connect up to the pinky finger, and then the thumb's line there. And then it connects to the wrist, like so. This one is a lot, this line is a lot more straight. With the thumb, it kind of goes in, so it's, your hand isn't really like centered on your wrist there. It looks a lot more natural if it is not centered. Okay. So there you have kind of the building blocks of a very basic, very stiff hand. Usually I don't go through all the motions here when I'm drawing a hand onto a figure. Usually I'll have, like, the forearm here. Let's get some lead in this. Forearm here. And then I will kind of do that shape, just sort of, that blob shape that I had done earlier, just to sort of get a feel of what I want the hand to be doing. And then the first thing I'll draw is the pointer finger and the thumb, usually, kind of depending. So, I have that. And then I sort of add in the other fingers with not a lot of detail, and often I shade them. So you can kind of see the two ways to do it. So you can really build it up, or you can do more of like a gesture drawing. And you can kind of start to combine them here. So I'll kind of throw a little pentagon here. This is going to be the back of the hand. Do the thumb. Really bad at the thumb, you guys. And then I kind of make sure that I have the thumb and the forefinger connected up a little bit. So instead of having that really blocky angle in there, I'll sort of like smooth it out. And then these two. And the middle finger and ring finger, since the ring finger is really weak, does not a lot of muscle strength on its own, often they're pretty close together. Like, it'll kind of follow its buddy around. So that's a good thing to remember, I guess. It's not a hard, fast rule, but often it'll make your hands look better. aside from that one, that was not great. Okay. And on the back of the hand, as I have drawn here, I'm just going to erase my guidelines a little bit. That's not fantastic, but there we go. Okay, the most prominent knuckle is actually your middle finger's knuckle. So I'll usually do like a little shadow to indicate it. And unless the hand is really straining, actually kind of like this one is, you're not going to see a whole lot of the tendons on the back of the hand, but you can always indicate them. Indicate your knuckles with little dots, I guess. So it starts to look a little bit more detailed, a little bit more realistic. Let's see, what's the next difficult thing? Drawing fingers curled. Curled up fingers are hard. So let's draw kind of a fist from the side, like a victory gesture. Yes, I did it. So it's a good thing to do. I can't even bend my hand that way. Why am I trying to draw it that way? I don't know. Which leads me to the point that when you're starting to draw hands, I would get some reference, because reference will make your life so much easier. I just went way ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's walk it back. I got excited. Okay, so you have the thumb kind of in front of your fingers here, which are clenched, and so I'm going to indicate that with a little box. I'm not going to draw out the palm because the palm is mostly hidden, but your thumb bends around when you make a fist. It's going to be in front of your fingers. And then I'll kind of draw my guidelines here. Notice, again, this is why we draw that little pentagon. Where your fingers end on the back of your hand and the front of your hand are a little bit different. And so they'll look different heights. Kind of the end of that, the termination of your finger will be different. So pinky back there, this one a little up here, up there. So just kind of paying attention to the details, I think, makes a difference. Just broke off all of my lead. Cool. Okay. And then the finger you have to put the most detail into here is going to be the pinky finger, because it's all kind of squunched up. So if you look on the side, you have kind of this, these wrinkles here, this sort of starfish looking thing. So you don't have to draw all of them, but I would say kind of indicate there that your finger's scrunched. And then it hits into your hand there. So there's a thumb that comes around, and there is that kind of fat and muscle below the pinky. And then your wrist is probably going to have some wrinkles in it too. Just keep wrenching my arm around. Here's a tip. Draw the hand you're not drawing with. That'll make your life so much easier. Okay, and again, you'll see I kind of did a prominent knuckle for that middle finger and a slightly smaller one for the pointer finger. And I added that all-important shading to kind of the thumb there, just to make it a little bit more, make the drawing make a bit more sense, right? Okay. So there you go. A good thing to remember as well is that knuckles can be, they're usually a little bit bent. They're not going to be like a straight line. So if you start out with a guideline that's a straight line, you're always going to be bending it a little bit, because knuckles, as you can see, really curve down with your hand. Especially like the tighter you squeeze your fist, this knuckle here is just going to sink. So if you're holding something, they flatten out a little bit. Like if your fingers aren't totally flexed. See that? There you go. Lesson in anatomy with live demonstrations. I'm having really bad luck with my lead today. Okay, so then let's see. Let's do one from the other side. Maybe pointing. That's another helpful one. So from the side, we're going to ignore the thumb for right now. Just sort of a little rectangle for your palm. And then, let's see. You know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's challenge ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to do a point that's really flexed. So the finger's actually going to, that knuckle is really going to sink. You're not going to see that knuckle. And it's going to swoop. So what I'm paying attention to here is more that line. So it really doesn't have to be you know, mathematical anatomical drawing, you can really pay attention to the gesture in drawings like these. When I'm drawing fingers, that's kind of a stylistic thing, so I kind of like fluid fingers. If you're drawing kind of more cartoony, they might be more square. A realistic finger, obviously, it's rounded at the end, and you do see, you know, kind of the bumps of the knuckles in there. But for this one, I really wanted that line in, so doing that. And we're going to have our thumb kind of pointed down. So again, the thumb is going to attach right here. That's why I had that little line there. The thumb attaches here. And it's a little bit hard to describe the shape of the thumb, but the end of the thumb is always going to be sort of this little oblong shape like that. And then a larger oval up here, and your lines will kind of connect the two shapes in the middle there. Because in the middle there, it's like a teapot spout, maybe? This is a really helpful tutorial. Okay, so there's your thumb. Connects up gracefully to your index finger. All right, and now remember, this is where the palm starts. So I'm going to kind of draw a guideline down here for my most prominent other finger, which is the middle finger, which is not completely flexed. And then these two fingers back here are completely flexed, right? So I can do that. Add a little wrinkle to the wrist there because it's quite bent. And there you go. I'm going to erase my guidelines there so you can kind of see what's going on. There you go. A pointing finger. Knuckles in the fingers, if you want to get technical here. There is this little knuckle up here. You know, these little guys. They don't bend as much as the ones in the middle. Usually when you're just kind of gesturing. Some people can do that thing where they just flex those, but that's kind of uncommon. That's, I think, a double jointed feature. So I would say kind of keep that middle joint prominent if you're going to do all the joints here. And then there will be little wrinkles obviously on the inside. And there you go. Connects up there, and there's the knuckle, which is also flexible, obviously. I didn't really plan out this hand, I was just showing you the finger. Then you can add a fingernail if you want. Honestly, I usually don't because I'm kind of usually drawing from this distance and it sort of clutters it up if I try to add too many details. But if you're drawing a close-up hand, I would say yes, definitely draw the fingernail. Okay. And then you can really kind of dive in. Like there's wrinkles all over your hands, obviously on the inside. I would say unless you're just doing a study on a hand, those are probably kind of unnecessary when you're just doing regular gestural figure drawing like I tend to do. But if you like to get into the minutiae like that, you are welcome to do it. And as you can see here, I'm kind of just sort of finding the shapes. This was not planned out at all, but there you go. Yeah, I want that much sugar. Okay. Shade in the palm so I kind of know what's happening. Back at the wrist, again, it's uneven. This is going to kind of extend out so you don't have like this immediate drop off at the back of the hand. There's sort of that, you know, you got to have room for the bones back there. So that's another thing that I learned probably way too late in my life. But there you go. Okay. So that is sort of my crash course on hands and how they attach to the wrist, how you can get sort of a fluid gestural drawing on them there. I've heard that sometimes it's easiest to draw a palm without fingers as practice. I never really found that to be true, but everybody learns differently. So it might be useful for learning how the palm is flexible, you know, kind of the little muscles that go into the palm, things like that. So you might want to give it a try. So there's, if you really want to focus on like how it connects to the wrist, kind of where the little tendons go, you got these little guys in there. So it is kind of up to you. But that is kind of to get you started drawing hands, understanding how hands are put together. And hopefully you learn something. I think, you know, every time I draw a hand, I learn something new. So it's an ongoing process, so don't get discouraged. But hopefully you liked that quick little video. If you did, you know what to do. Subscribe to the Westland Public Library's YouTube channel, click the bell for updates, and hopefully I will see you back here next week. We're gonna keep putting our figures together. Until then, see ya!